All right, so welcome to my interview with Dr. Ginny Orenstein. Full disclosure, we just did a whole interview for an hour and I didn't record it, so we're doing round two here, so hopefully it's gonna be even better than the first time. So for those of you who are new to my channel, I'm Rachel Pelisson. I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist and a certified health coach, and I wanted to bring Ginny on here and do an interview with her because she has an absolutely incredible healing story. And we have connected through Instagram, where Ginny has a great following and she shares so much about her healing journey with medical medium and everything she's been through and how it's brought her to this wonderful place that she's in now. So welcome, Ginny, and thank you for being here.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So tell me a little bit about your journey with medical medium and how you've healed from a lot of chronic illness.
So I'm sure a lot of other chronic illness warriors will relate to this. I was misdiagnosed for 12 years. I had my first flare-up in 2003. They thought it was costochondritis, which is just a fancy word for chest pain. They thought it was a performance injury because I was a professional musician at that time. And so it's interesting when I look back at how sick I was, every time I had a flare up, it was always after something traumatic that happened in my life. And as you know, stress is a huge trigger for these flare-ups. And then as I was having these symptoms, I kept getting, my biggest flare was in February 2012. And that's where they found pericarditis around my heart and pleural effusion, which is fluid around my lungs. And so they ran every test and everything still came back negative, and they basically said it was a viral infection, which makes sense considering that Anthony, medical medium, says that a lot of the autoimmune diseases that we experience are from a variant form of the Epstein-Barr virus, or EBV.
Yeah.
And so after that, I kept getting more and more flares to the point where I would get pericarditis every other month. And this is now, fast forward to 2014. My husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, he proposed to me in March of 2015. And then 1 month later, I was diagnosed with severe systemic lupus erythematosus. So after all that time, they finally referred me to a rheumatologist. And that's where he clinically diagnosed me, because my blood work kept coming back negative, but I was having all these symptoms.
Yeah.
And so that's when he diagnosed me with that. And I was really sick for a long time. My mom would have to come out and visit. And it's interesting because my mom, she would come out and she would feed me all these like Korean foods that feed EBV, right? And it would make my symptoms worse. But, you know, she would come out and she would try to take care of me. And at that time, we were planning our wedding for December 2015. So it was like very fast, right? And so, and it's interesting because then my mom and my husband they were driving together to a Korean grocery store. And she basically said to him, I understand if you want to, like, if you don't want to go through with the wedding, because this is too much for you. And he basically replied, like, I never even thought about that. And so he said that when he got home, he actually thought about it for half a second, and that's when he decided that he wanted to be in this with me together. And so as my chronic illness was getting worse and worse and worse, the treatment plan that they had me on with the Imurin, I was on Imurin, indomethacin, gabapentin, Plaquenil, hydrocodone, so, and high dosages of prednisone. which is why I have the moon face.
Yes, I recognize that picture from the Instagram feed.
Yeah.
And you were on, we mentioned this earlier, methotrexate as well?
Yeah, so I was on that for 1 year and it wasn't working, like none of the treatments. So then I got a second opinion, and then my second rheumatologist then put me on methotrexate to help with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was still feeling about the same. I was still feeling more the side effects from the methotrexate and the prednisone. The gabapentin, I should say, and Lyrica and Cymbalta made me super depressed and suicidal. So there were times when my husband had to lock up my medication because I would attempt to kill myself. And I had no idea what was happening, but my husband called the doctor and was like, she's not herself. Like, there's something really wrong here. And so then they found out that I was experiencing these rare side effects from those 3 medications that they had me on. And so, you know, like any chronic illness, with the medications that you're on, you feel all these awful side effects. You're not yourself. I know the methotrexate made me crazy. My husband could totally back me up.
Almost scarier than the disease, the chronic illness you were dealing with.
Absolutely. And so finally, you know, having all of those experiences, almost dying as well, and that was what that picture was that I just showed. I was literally almost dead at that point, having blood transfusions and stuff. And so I didn't see a difference. And if you actually scroll down my Instagram feed, you'll see that I was very sick, even while on methotrexate. And then once I started the medical medium protocol, everything changed. So it's pretty amazing how it's all on there. So basically, you know, if you see down on my Instagram feed, then you see how everything that I was trying to do to heal myself wasn't working. Like the traditional medical treatment that I was on. Also, I did share the different protocols I was trying, like the Goodbye Lupus and the Thomas DeLauer. I was doing, trying to be vegan, vegetarian. I was doing all of that stuff. And every time I would flare. And so I finally found medical medium pretty much because I was reading so many books on chronic illnesses and how to heal, basically. So Amazon kept recommending it to me for like months, for a few months. And I don't know why. I was really resistant to it. I think because of my past experiences with other protocols.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? I'll just go to the library. I had, you know, a good day. So I went to the library and I checked it out. This is like May 2017. And I decided, okay, I read the book. It really resonated with me. Like I said earlier, he talks about EBV. And it listed all the symptoms that I was having. And the symptoms that I was experiencing was a lot of neurological, like tremors, bowel and urinary incontinence, brain fog.
A lot of neurologic stuff.
Yeah. Right. So like memory loss, just chronic fatigue, migraines, chronic migraines. And so, facial rashes from the sun. And every time I was in the sun, I would feel like zero energy. It was like the weirdest thing. And I had like really bad, painful mouth and nose ulcers. And if any of you are experiencing mouth ulcers, there's this thing that you can get called magic mouthwash.
Yeah.
It is amazing. It's hard to eat or do anything, you know, when you have like these ulcers inside and it's so painful. So yeah, magic mouthwash is incredible. So basically, when I started the medical medium, I was seeing all my 5 doctors. So it was my GP, my neurologist, my cardiologist, rheumatologist, and GI doctor. And because I was seeing them every month, I had set up all of my appointments sort of like back to back, like within a week. And I brought the book to them and I said, I really want to try this. Can I do this with the medical treatment that I'm on? And they looked at the 28-day cleanse menu. They looked at the supplement list that was in the EBV chapter. And they basically told me which ones I could take and which ones I couldn't with the medications I was on. So I basically started out with just a few supplements, which was like Hawaiian spirulina, barley grass juice extract powder, chaga mushroom, licorice, cat's claw, lemon balm, vegan safe B12,
Mm-hmm.
and L-lysine.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, the L-lysine, I didn't react very well to it. And you'll find that certain supplements that you take will agree with you or won't help you.
Yeah, they can really throw you into flares if it's too much detox for your system.
Right.
And I think like touching on this point that you're on right now too is that a lot of people feel like if they're in kind of the traditional medical model that they can't do this or they don't have doctors that will support them. But you know, in your experience, there have been doctors that will support them. So yeah, so you don't have to pick one or the other. You can, you know, start to implement medical medium information, even if you are getting a lot of traditional Western medical treatments and you are working with a regular doctor, you can still start to implement this stuff. And hopefully this will help, you know, you heal, and then you can slowly and carefully wean yourself off a lot of those prescriptions.
Right. And that was definitely my experience. And so when I first started with the medical medium, I was seeing results pretty quickly. And so that was with the 28-day cleanse and then trying with those supplements.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed to be working really well with the methotrexate that I was on and Celebrex and colchicine, like I was on all these other medications. Still taking a lot, but it was definitely working together. And so like for the first 3 weeks, I started really slowly because of my experience with other protocols. So like the first 2 weeks, I was doing 8 ounces of celery juice. And I wasn't even doing it every day. Some days I would try the barley grass extract juice powder, which I didn't like the taste.
No.
At one time, I was like,
No,
nope.
you see some feeds of people just like munching that down on fruit, and I'm like, no, that's not for me.
No.
I do not eat it that way.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it did not agree with me at the start. But I was trying to like figure out like how I was going to do my supplements. And at first what I did was I added them to like little things of water, like little glasses of water, and I would drink it and I'd be like, oh, I can't do this. So what I ended up trying was, and this is what's so exciting about this process. Like you're the scientist, your body's the lab, you know, what you're doing is the lab, and you just kind of like play around with it. So that's what I was doing. I was trying to figure out how I could use my supplements. So basically, I started adding the licorice, the cat's claw, the chaga mushroom, the spirulina, dulse flakes. I started adding that to the smoothie. And it worked really well. Like it just, I didn't feel like I was overloading. And because I knew that I was very sensitive to medication, like even with the methotrexate, I was on 80 and for injections, and I was still like experiencing hair loss. I was experiencing extreme fatigue, vomiting, nausea. And so, you know, everyone's different. And so for me, finding that doing the supplements that way was a game changer. And then I started incorporating like slowly more and more supplements. So like lemon balm was extremely powerful in my healing process. I still do that twice a day. And I found a really amazing way to drink it. So what I do is I don't know, one day I was just playing around with it and I was doing the lemon water. And this is when I was playing around with the thyroid healing cleanse. And I was just drinking lemon water and I was like, I'm going to try to put these supplements in it. So I added the cat's claw, the lemon balm, and zinc in it. And it was like, oh my God, this tastes just like iced tea, but better without the caffeine.
That's so funny.
It is so good. So like, I was like, yeah, this is awesome. I'm going to keep doing this. So I started doing that twice a day.
That's like a sign from your body too, that it likes that and it wants that combination of things, because there's some funky things that I eat where I'm like, how is this even good? But I love it. So I just keep doing it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you find things that kind of work for you. But yeah, I love that. So I do that. I still do that twice a day. But yeah, so just kind of going through the journey, and you when you look down on my Instagram feed, you can really see how my symptoms started to get better over time. I mean, I've been on it for 20 months now.
Yeah.
And I'm still going with it. I'm now preparing my body to become pregnant. So I did all the research for medical medium pregnancy.
Yeah.
Applying that. And so I think the trick is, it's good to have all of the books, and if you can read the books, and if not, if reading all of it is too much and too overwhelming, just go to the index and see where your symptoms are, and just kind of like flip back and forth and read that chapter that kind of pertains to your symptoms.
Yeah. And we talked about life-changing foods being such an incredible resource, because it seems like the simplest book of the series, but it's jam-packed. So you can look up your symptoms or your illnesses, and for each one in the index, there'll be a list. You can get the list of all the foods that are helpful to your condition. So that's a great thing to list all your symptoms, write all the foods, and then pick out the ones that are, connecting on different symptoms, and or just pick out the ones that you really like and you really enjoy, because sometimes that's your body's way of telling you that it's a food that is going to be really helpful for your healing. It's a food that your body wants.
Absolutely. And I do tell my clients that, I give them the list of foods that they need to eat, and I'm like, you don't have to eat all of it. Just eat the ones that you really enjoy. And that's pretty much what I did on my journey. Like, I was eating a lot of nacho potatoes. So,
so good.
I was eating a lot of the spinach soup. I personally love it. I know some people don't, but I had it last night. I've been having it like the last couple nights. Spinach soup. And then I would do like Korean dishes, but I would like medical medium, apply it. So I'd change up the ingredients, kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's kind of fun if you're into cooking. You can take a traditional recipe and you're like, how can I medical mediumize this?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Like yesterday, I baked these amazing vegan almond butter.
Oh, I've been seeing you post those. I have to try that. The cookies.
So good. I actually ended up adding pecans and chopped up pecans and dried cranberries to it. It's a game changer. So
yeah. Good. And I think that's an important point to talk about too, is that you don't have to be super duper strict or rigid with this. If you're craving cookies and nuts, just have some cookies in the evening. It's not, if you're working on being really low fat, but one day you eat more fat, that's okay. You're still healing. You're still doing well. And even eating a no food, if you go out to eat and you accidentally get one, or you intentionally get one, whatever, you go, okay, I made one decision, but I made 100 other good decisions today. And the next day you'll do the same thing. So, I think that we kind of all, self-included, sometimes get influenced by these Instagram accounts that make it look like everyone's eating 0 fat, 100% raw, totally vegan, never touching a no food, not eating anything that comes out of a package. And that's really not necessary for healing. And I love that your account is a lot more honest about, like eating cookies. Like everybody likes to eat cookies. You deserve to enjoy eating cookies. So like, if you can figure out a way to do it without eating no foods, then like by all means, you have to enjoy your food.
Absolutely. And when I first started, because and I noticed that other people have really intense detox symptoms from it because they go all in.
Yeah.
So I never experienced that because I was doing it really slowly.
Mm-hmm.
And there were days when I would eat sushi, or there were days that I would eat a steak or something like that. And the thing is, he says that you can eat meat on this diet. Mm-hmm. Like he's not like completely plant-based. And I think that's where the message gets construed. And so he's like, you can have meat, you can have organic chicken, organic turkey, organic beef, no pork, because it takes the body like 15 hours to process it.
Clear it out, yep.
The liver, and overloads the body. So just stay clear of pork. And you can have like wild caught salmon. You can have mackerel. You can have sardines or anchovies, like small fish. Mm-hmm. So like he goes through all of that in his first book. That's where I read all of that. And I think that was his only book that was available when I first started. And so reading that, I was like, oh, good. Like I don't have to give up meat, Yeah. And I noticed that while I was doing the 28-day cleanse, I would be 80% raw. And then in the evening for dinner, I would have a cooked meal. Mm-hmm. And that seemed to really work well for me. If I felt like my detox symptoms were getting too intense, I'd have a bowl of cereal.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, or white rice or something like that. Like you find what works for you. I find that when I stuck to knowing what my genetics were, like what my ancestors ate, I'm 100% Korean. So as long as I was eating the way that they ate, but also adding the medical medium, like applying that to it, mm-hmm. So eating more of the healing foods that pertain to my exact symptoms, I could kind of like blend those two things together to help in the healing process.
Yeah. And you want to Anthony always says there is no medical medium protocol. Like there's protocols with supplement plans for different conditions, but there is no one strict, rigid meal plan. And so you really can make this your own. You can go grain-free if you feel like you need to because you have major strep issues, but keep meat. Or you can go vegan, but keep some grains in your diet if you feel like you don't really react to those so much. Or you can really focus on really low fat for maybe 6 months, and then later on you focus on something else. So it really is always a plan that is evolving and changing. So it changes with your lifestyle, it changes with the seasons. Like it's cold where I live, so I've been eating a lot more cooked food. But I know that as we transition into spring and summer, I'm going to want a lot more raw food. So, I think you just honor what your body is calling for, and you don't get so much into the idea of like rigid rules and what you have to do and what you should do and what you saw someone else doing. Like that's not you, that's someone else. So the flexibility, and a lot of that flexibility comes from our own mind. So having that flexibility for yourself and just allowing the way you eat to kind of evolve and change as your body calls for it, I find is like really the most effective way for healing. And because if you're too strict, you can throw yourself into too much detox. And one thing I see is people who have gone like kind of too hardcore, like went all raw right off the bat, didn't take care of their liver enough. They end up liberating too many toxins, and they end up gaining a lot of weight because the toxins are all floating around in your bloodstream now. Your liver can't process them. And then the body's like, well, we got to get this out of the circulation some way. So it creates all this fat tissue to suck the toxins into there. So, I've seen too many cases of that. And it's tough when you see people who worked so hard, they worked too hard and they got themselves into trouble. So I think that message is really key. And I love that you share that moderation is absolutely a part of this. And you don't have to go so hardcore. And I think it's important to know that you don't have to take a ton of supplements either. Like taking too many supplements can be an issue for the liver and for too much detox too. So it's definitely a, a slow and steady wins the race kind of thing.
Yeah. And the thing with the supplements, you can have like a lot of supplements in your house.
Yeah.
You don't have to take them all the time. You know, take the supplements in phases.
Yes.
And a lot of them, you have to do that. You know, you can't take them every day. Otherwise, it'll be more harmful for your body than actually really helping you. And notice that like some days you'll do more and some days you'll do less. And that's perfectly okay. It really just ends up balancing out in the end.
Yeah, definitely. I find that like with my clients, when they go through periods of time where either their stress goes up or they get really busy, then partly you like forget to take your supplements because you're preoccupied, but also your body's like, no, I don't want these right now because it's too much detox. Like your body can't handle it when it's managing all that stress. So I think that's like a really good key point too, is that the supplements change, they ebb and flow. You don't have to take all of the same ones all the time. You know, I think we all kind of agree, stick with B12 and zinc all the time, and then the rest of it can change a lot. So
yeah, and the vegan omega-3s, those are really great to
yeah.
take.
Yep. So, you've been on this like incredible healing journey, and I think there's one condition that you kind of didn't talk about, and that was you had brain tumors, correct?
Oh, yes. So, so before I found Medical Medium, I found out I was referred to a neurologist. They did an MRI CAT scan, and they found that I had 2 benign vascular brain tumors and a microvascular ischemic brain disease. So I basically had a stroke during my bedridden state, and I didn't realize, like I didn't know. And so I basically took his knowledge about brain tumors, about brain health, and I started to eat more cherries. I did chaga mushroom, reishi mushroom, berries, lots and lots of berries. And so I was in cruciferous vegetables, because those are anti-cancerous. So all those things that I just named are anti-cancerous. They kill tumors, both benign and malignant, cysts, lumps, whatever nodules, whatever that you have, it does kill it and get rid of it. And so, and then after that, while I was doing Medical Medium, like 3 months in, I got into a huge flare. Like I was doing so much better. I did the walk to end lupus. My blood work was doing so much better. Like I was no longer, like just 6 weeks on it, I was no longer pre-diabetic. I had no more anemia. My cholesterol was so much better. And my pancreas and my liver enzymes had lowered. My white blood cell count was always usually around 15 to 17,000. And so just 6 weeks on it, I was down to 11,000. So, and I think the normal range is like 4 to 10,000. And so I was doing so much better. And my doctor came back. He's like, whatever you do, keep doing it.
Yeah.
And so I asked him if I could do the walk to end lupus that weekend, because I wasn't using a cane or a walker anymore. It was amazing. And so I did that. But then like after that, I started to get, there was like drama in my life. So I then got into a huge flare. I was back in the hospital. And then this time they discovered rheumatoid arthritis in my chest and spine via x-ray. So luckily I didn't have a lupus flare, but it was like a new diagnosis that I had received.
Yeah.
And I went back to the Medical Medium knowledge, like his books, and I was looking up all now rheumatoid arthritis. How am I going to heal my rheumatoid arthritis? And so it's like you kind of just keep adding whatever you need to add to heal those symptoms that come up. And different symptoms will come up along this journey. And just know that he's got an answer for all of them. And all you
he does.
look it up. I mean, pretty much he does.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is just look it up and just apply it to your health and just do that every day. But you don't have to do all of it every day. Just whatever you can, whatever, because each day is going to look different for a chronic illness warrior.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever, just be kind to yourself and have love and compassion for yourself. And you just say, okay, I can do this. Like I can do celery juice, or maybe I can just do lemon water, or lemon ginger water. Maybe I can just do a salad, or eat whatever fruits for your symptoms. So you can play around with it and see what works for you.
Yeah. And that, taking it day by day is so key because, in the process of healing, there can be new symptoms that pop up. There can be detox symptoms. So, sometimes you go like, oh my God, like, is this really working? Like, is this actually helping? And it is. It's always working. It's always healing you. Even if odd things or new things pop up, you're just cleansing on a deeper level. You're hitting another pathogen in a new part of your body that's creating some sort of detox symptom. So, I think that's a key thing is like when you're eating fruits and vegetables, you're always healing. There's no way that you can't be. So.
Mm-hmm. And those healing foods will always have your back.
Yes.
You can always return to it. And I do find people who message me, they'll say things like, oh, I fell off the wagon. It's like, no, you didn't. You're still on the wagon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just come back to it. Just come back to the healing foods because they're always going to be there. The groceries are always going to be stocked with it. And I know with some people, they can't afford organic. Like there was a time when I couldn't afford organic.
Right.
My husband got laid off. And we were I wasn't working, so we were on a strict budget. And, and he also fell really ill. He had these gut health issues, like a congenital birth defect. He had to have surgery done, and the surgery didn't go well. And he almost died the first time. And then he really did die the second time. Like when they reversed the colostomy bag, he went into full cardiac arrest for 46 minutes.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So he was on the other side. He saw God and everything.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing. Like, so I haven't really shared his death experience, but I will share this much. So when he did see God, God said that medical medium is real. And
wow.
in order to heal, you need to listen to your wife. So when he came back, he wasn't even supposed to come back. Like God was there to welcome him, and he argued his way to come back.
Wow.
And that's how much our love is for each other.
He wasn't taking that free pass that your mom gave him.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So then what happened was, so he came back, and it was then he was 100% on medical medium. Yeah. Because before then, he was only doing, for his gut health, I was applying the gut health stuff to him. He said, but he was doing the celery juice, green juice. Like Costco has this awesome cold pressed green juice that he would do. Lemon water with like the lemon balm, the cat's claw, and the zinc and stuff. He was doing that. The smoothies, there were like a lot of things that he was doing to help his gut. And it turns out that actually also helped his heart. So that's what the cardiologist found. He was like, whatever you were doing the last couple of months might have saved your life. And at that point, because his heart was so severely damaged, the cardiologist said that that the damage probably would never heal. And that they were planning, so his heart attack happened in September, and in December, they were planning on putting in a portable defibrillator in his body. And I was like, that's not going to happen. Like, we're going to
Nettles, no.
Yeah. And so I did all my research for his heart health, and I started applying that. Like, I sent it to his whole family, like, make sure he doesn't eat this when you guys go out. So then, he was doing all the supplements and eating that way. He was 100% in it. And then literally in December, when they were planning on doing it, they looked at his heart and they were like, wow, it's, whatever you're doing, again, whatever you're doing, keep doing it kind of thing. So they ended up not putting in the defibrillator. And we just saw the cardiologist recently, and he goes, in 4 months, it's going to look like you never had a heart attack.
Wow.
But back in September, he said it was never going to heal. So this,
Right.
it works.
Yeah.
Not just like with me, but for him too.
Yeah, and I think like sometimes people want to see like lab work and they want to run heavy metal tests. And I get a lot of requests for this stuff. And I always say like, spend your money on an awesome juicer and on supplements and on organic food. And like, you don't need all that stuff. Like we don't need that stuff to tell us. And so, yeah, so like, and then people are like, some people, want to know about the science and the evidence. And I just, I came from that background and I didn't have a lot of answers for people and I couldn't help people. And when I found Medical Medium and I started using this in my practice with clients, like it works. It blows me away. Like your stories are incredible. And so I don't know how you can argue with that. And really, on the other end of it, there's no risks, right? Like eating wild blueberries, drinking celery juice, eating more raw foods, getting more fiber in your diet. Like there's no risks to that. There's nothing that can hurt you from doing that. So I really strongly believe that the information that Medical Medium is giving us is absolutely the truth. And I think it's the most powerful healing information out there. And you're such a testament to that. Like, that's why I wanted to have you on here and hear all about your story.
Absolutely. I wanted to add, so during that time when we were both sick, or, I was getting better while he was getting worse. And so there were times when we couldn't even buy organic.
Yeah.
Or sometimes there wasn't even organic celery available. And so what I found the study, like November 2017, it was published in October 2017. And it was a study that, I'm blanking on the university that did the study. But anyway, so they basically found ways on how to clean conventional produce. And so like the first way that they tried was with water, and they found that 99% of pesticides and chemicals were still on that conventional produce. It was an apple that they used. And what's crazy was when they tested the apple, they found that pesticides were absorbed 7 millimeters underneath the skin.
It's not just on the surface, it's really
it's
in
not
there.
On the surface, it's inside. And so then they tried a veggie wash, and it only eliminated 45%. And then they tried a baking soda treatment. And so the baking soda treatment, they did 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and Arm & Hammer works the best, because there are some baking sodas that contain aluminum in it, so you have to be careful. So, and Costco like sells a huge 10-pound bag for like $7.99. So it's 1 teaspoon per 1.5 liters of water, or you can convert it to like 6.3 cups of water. And so you put it in a bowl, you put that measurement in, put your produce in there, and you let it soak for 12 to 15 minutes. So 12 minutes is for like a thinner skin, 15 minutes for a thicker skin. And we basically did that, and we still healed.
Yeah.
So what they found was by doing that, by soaking it in this baking soda treatment, it eliminated all of it, including up to 7 millimeters underneath the skin.
That's pretty incredible.
All out. And so all you have to do is just carefully wash it. After you soak it, just carefully wash it, and then prep it or eat it however way you normally do. And so that absolutely worked for us, and we both healed doing that.
Yeah, I think that's a great point too. Like, you can heal on a very limited budget. You can eat really simple foods. And I fully believe that the foods are the most important part of healing, and that the supplements are just kind of, an add-on. They're obviously incredibly powerful too, but the food is, it's the reason why the book is called Life-Changing Foods and not Life-Changing Supplements. Like,
Right.
food is the healing part. So, yeah, you don't have to eat 100% organic. You can be really careful about how you do that. And yeah, I just feel so strongly that anyone can heal on this plan, and you don't have to take it to such extremes like sometimes we just see on these really popular social media feeds. Like, you can do it in a really simple and really basic way.
Absolutely. Like some of those accounts, I look at it and I'm like, how do they have the energy to prepare all of that?
No, the recipes
all
are
look beautiful and nice, and I'm like, chronic illness warriors can't do that. Like, there's only so much energy that we can have during this healing process.
Yeah,
so
and
I was eating the same stuff over and over again.
And even for people who aren't really sick, that are still like working full time and being a parent or taking care of someone, and they have a lot of responsibilities and a lot of stress, like, keep the food really simple. Make a giant smoothie in the morning, have a salad where you just throw like greens, tomatoes, cucumbers. So I don't even chop the stuff up sometimes. I just eat it, potatoes, and like, you're good to go. That's all. It can be really simple. I don't even make salad dressing. I just like dump seasonings on top of my salad. Like,
yeah, I do lemon juice.
Yeah, I do lemon juice and like onion powder, garlic powder. I don't know. I'm obsessed with cayenne right now. That's like a food my body wants every day. So I just really like, it's not beautiful. I'm always like, sorry, this is my salad. It's not exciting. It's just like what it is. So yeah, it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be super expensive. You don't have to spend $300 or $500 a month on supplements. Like, you can keep it really basic and simple. And so I think that kind of brings me to the next topic, which is like, what do you think was important in regards to your mindset for healing?
So when I was doing all those other protocols, I was like, I have to do it perfectly. Like, I have to follow it to the T. And it ended up being worse for me. And so when I got to the medical medium, it was almost like those experiences, I had to have those experiences so that I can properly prepare myself to do the medical medium, like to apply his knowledge to my symptoms. And so I did it really slowly. I just took it each day. So if I woke up in the morning and I was like, I'm too tired. Like, there were mornings where I would wake up at 11 and then I would start my celery juice then.
Yeah.
My smoothie, and you don't have to try and wake up super early and try to do your celery juice then. You just do it when you can do it, like when you're feeling like you can do it.
Yeah, and if you get up super early and you can't do it first thing in the morning, then like do your celery juice in the afternoon or before bed. Like, that's okay to do.
Yes, absolutely. And so I found it was a lot of experimentation, like I said before. And I think that's what I was just focused on. I feel like my approach was more mindful, like this time around. Like, I wasn't beating myself up. Like, if I had a no food, I wasn't beating myself up. I'm just, my whole thinking was, it's just slowing down my detox, and I'm enjoying it.
If you're gonna eat it, you might as well enjoy it. Don't feel guilty.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the process for me was a lot more enjoyable because I was coming from a place where I was really listening to my body. And after reading his first book, I would say the last section of his book is the most important part to read. That's like the how to finally heal. And he has a chapter in there called Soul Healing Techniques.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I took that, I read that, I was like, ooh, I get to go to the beach because I live in LA, So I'd be like, I'm going to go down to the beach. I'm going to watch the waves. And, but I was still like covering myself up, because I would get the lupus rashes from the sun. And I would like go into nature. There are a lot of like hiking trails in LA. So I would go into nature and listen to the birds, or just, look at the trees, just be in nature. And then that's also when I found meditation.
Yeah.
So I started meditating kind of like 5 minutes, and then I'd fall asleep. And then like a few hours later, I'd wake up and I'm like, what happened? And then I would beat myself up like, why did you fall asleep? You know how like we have like that dialogue.
Yeah.
And but you know, like after I kept practicing with the meditation, I would get better and better, and then I would end up meditating like 5 to 6 hours a day.
Wow.
Yeah, and so that actually really helped in the healing process and the mindset. And there's a really great book that I highly recommend, that I invite everyone to check out. It's called Energy Vampires.
Yes, I know that book.
By Dr. Christiane Northrup.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. When I read that book, it was like, that brought like a whole new level to my healing process and with the mindset. And I thought, you know, you have these people in your life who can be really toxic.
Yeah.
And who want to, I mean, not like they know that they're actually really doing it, but they do tend to drain your energy.
Yeah. They can really undermine your healing.
Absolutely. And these people can cause like anger inside you, and you can hold grudges and you hold on to that anger. And so what her book really did for me was to learn the whole forgiveness process. And that took several months for me.
Mm-hmm.
And once I was able to, so I do talk about this in my book. I'm writing a book. And what I've learned from my process is that there's 3 stages to healing. The first stage is to release. A lot of times people want to skip the releasing part and just go to the second stage is to restore, and the third stage is to renew. Mm-hmm. So people just want to jump to the second stage and to the third stage right away. But you have to release first.
Yes.
In order to get to those other 2 stages. And so I did a lot of releasing, emotional and spiritual releasing, that helped me in my journey with that mindset, to have more gratitude. I think that was the biggest thing, because for the longest time I was thinking, why? Why is this happening to me? What did I do in my life to deserve this? Like to be so sick and to be bedridden, and you know, it was always my dream to have children, and to have doctors tell me, you can never get pregnant, you should never have kids. You know, I couldn't even take care of myself. How could I take care of, you know, a baby? And so, so there was a lot of anger, like having to quit my profession. Like there was all these things. And so during that process, it was just letting go of all of that. And then it's so interesting to see, because I was so focused on each day. My cat is like more. She was also very healing. Like she was so instrumental in our healing journey. So if any of you chronic illness warriors have pets, I'm sure you understand. But yeah, just having that mindset of just being present and staying with what I was doing, like making the celery juice, now making the smoothie, you know, and just like staying with it, not thinking about the future, how, if I'm going to be healed. It never even occurred to me. Like I had no idea that I would be here. So like these days, I feel like I can say like I have arrived, you know, like I am just here in this present moment, just so grateful for the whole process. I'm grateful for my illnesses, that I had to go through all of this, that I had, you know, and so life is a lot lighter now. It's happier. It's, and I just never thought that I was going to be here. And so I guess my advice to the people out there is that just have patience and have kindness with yourself. Really listen to your body. If your body's saying, hey, I'm tired, don't push yourself through an activity. Go lie down and rest. You know, like if your body's telling you to eat a certain food, but your mind is saying no, or your taste buds are saying, no, I really want to eat that burger and fries. But you can do that like once in a while, you know, but just be really mindful and come back to the healing foods. That's really going to help you to heal.
And yeah, so I think that whole mindset piece, like, also ties into emotional detox. So we had talked about how, you know, a lot of emotions can get stored in the body. So as you're going through this process of eating all these healing foods and cleansing, you're not only getting physical detox, but you get emotional detox. So anger, anxiety, you know, all different kinds of negative emotions can come up, and they really do get stuck in, you know, the muscles, they get stuck in the liver. There's a lot of old stuff there that can be repressed. And so as you're giving up these foods that aren't helping you heal, a lot of that can come up. And those, you know, the no foods and the really heavy foods and the lower vibrational foods are very powerful at suppressing emotion and at pushing it down, and you know, at kind of like keeping you small and keeping you in that fear state. So as you let go of those foods and incorporate more of the healing foods, then your vibration really rises, and you let go of a lot of that old emotion that you were stuck in. And that's, you know, in my experience, that's at least 30% of this healing process is not just physical, but it's really emotional. So I love that your 3-step process begins with release, because I totally agree. You have to do the emotional work too. It's not just about you can't heal physically if you don't heal emotionally. You get trapped in those energy patterns. So that's a really, really key point for healing. And how do you feel like, what would you say to kind of, now that you've arrived, what would you say to, you know, the self you held up in that picture before, who was really so sick and so angry and in such a tough place? What would you say to her now?
Yes, Sadie, how may I help you? What would I say to her now? Just to have more kindness, and courage. Because there were times when I wanted to give up, where I just there were just a lot of really hard times. And I know I'm not alone in that. I know other people do feel that way as well. And at that time, I didn't even realize what I had to go through to get to where I am now. And I would tell her, just take it day by day. That's all you can do. But take it with kindness and compassion and love. It was really hard for me to love myself. I was always so hard on myself, always trying to be my very best. You know, I was a professional musician, so it was like you always had to be on your A game.
Mm-hmm.
And so through that whole process, you know, I would just tell her to have patience, and it's okay to let go. There's a lot of it's okaying.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many times a day I say that to my clients. I'm like, that's fine. That's okay.
Yeah. And because before it was not okay. You know, when you have that sabotaging self-talk, you're basically telling yourself it's not okay.
Yeah, you beat yourself up all the time.
It really is okay.
Yeah.
You know, and you're learning. Every day is something new. You're always learning something new.
Mm-hmm.
You learn from that. And you're not failing. You're never failing.
No.
Like, the whole process, you're not failing. Like when I was trying those other protocols and they didn't work, I saw that as a failure. Like what did I do wrong? You know, and somehow, like throughout this process, learning more about myself, learning acceptance and gratitude. I think it really all starts with gratitude. Mm-hmm. So I would tell myself to just find even the littlest things that you're grateful for. Because there are so many times when people, and I was even there, like, I don't have enough money. Like, you know, I don't live in a big house, or, you know, like they have like those ideas of what success looks like, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, I have like this terrible moon face that I probably will have forever. You know, like you have like these conversations you have with yourself. And I felt like I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't ever enough, that what I wasn't doing was enough. Until going through this process, I realized I am enough.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, like, I'm a pretty awesome human being.
Totally awesome.
And, you know, and you kind of see, if you look at my Instagram feed, it's crazy because I document it all.
I know. I've been following you for a long time, and I'm like blown away at the changes.
Yeah, the changes. So like I do, like in the beginning when I changed my name to eatpraylupus, and I would focus on the lupus part, and it was like, oh, it was always kind of in a negative mindset. You know, like today I have so much pain. I'm in so much chronic pain, and I would take pictures of myself of being in pain to share that with others who are also feeling that pain. Because it's like, when you're in that state, it's quite lonely.
Yeah.
You do lose friends. It happens. And it's okay, because sometimes there are people who can't be with you, that they have too much going on in their lives, that they can't also be with you as well. And that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't blame them or be angry at them for doing that. And so, and for me, I was in that mindset of, my friend just dumped me over text, like, because I couldn't hang out with her. And then I would just be so angry. And I would actually like show that on Instagram. I would share that. And then, I don't know, just through this whole medical medium process, the meditation, the Reiki healing, breath work, all these other like healing modalities that I was trying out, I was noticing how much I was releasing all of that stuff. And so then it's so crazy to see like how the change goes from gratitude, self-love, forgiveness, acceptance. Like you share that, I shared all of that, and you can really see that that's just how the process is.
Yeah.
It's how the healing process goes.
Yeah.
So I do wish that for everyone. That's why I'm writing this book, so that I can share. It's not just my experiences. It's telling people what other healing modalities that are out there. Because we don't really know. Like there's this thing called touch therapy, not just tapping. That's different.
Yeah.
Like touch therapy, it's like certain touches that release the trauma that's in your body. You know, breath work, like I said earlier, that really helps to release a lot of the emotional trauma that we have through breathing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, I do feel like that information should be out there so that people can start trying new things to heal themselves in that healing process.
Yeah. So with the whole food kind of plan becoming the foundation of healing the physical body, then there's this whole emotional release that happens. And when your physical body is really clean, and you know those physical energy channels are functioning optimally, then you get into like the whole emotional and spiritual and the chakra systems, and everything starts working more effectively. And then you just come into this more grounded and more peaceful and more accepting place. And that's been completely my experience on this healing journey as well. I never knew I could be so calm and grounded and just grateful all the time. So yeah, there's so much more to this than just physical healing. It really is. It's the full, you know, holistic healing package. And, you know, so I think
together.
Yeah. And I think sometimes, like you're saying, if you try to skip release and go right to just like, boom, like knocking out whatever's in your physical body, and you're not willing to work on the other things, then you may have trouble healing because it's all so interconnected. You can't separate one from the other. So it's been really, amazing to watch your journey and feel like I've kind of been, I've been on my own journey with it and seeing just so many healing stories online and working with people healing. I don't know, the more I spend time in this kind of medical medium healing community and journey, like the more committed to it I am and the more impressed with it I am. So, that's why I wanted to have you on here to share your story, because you just had such an incredible journey to share. And you used, and I love that you used other modalities too to help. So it was really.
Yeah, I think just to keep an open mind.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because you want to, like I said earlier, you're the scientist. So you find things that work for you, because everyone's journey is different.
Yes.
And that's another thing that I've noticed, that people compare each other's journeys.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you don't need to compare. It's totally okay. You're on your own amazing. So in this process, it's really important to have an open mind. Like I was saying earlier, that you are the scientist and everything that you're doing is the lab. So you are creating your own healing journey. And that's why, like in my book, I'm not saying like you have to follow everything that I did to heal. I'm giving so many options out there that you can look into to see if that will work for you.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, when I look at Instagram, sometimes I see that people are comparing their journeys with others. And you don't have to compare. Like, you're on your own amazing and beautiful journey. I mean, the experiences that you're going to have and what you're going to see unfolds, what you're going to see that starts unblocking. I mean, it's like a lotus flower, like with all those petals, like you just start to bloom and blossom over time. And I never thought that I was going to be here. I am extremely grateful for everything. I'm even grateful for my illnesses.
Yeah.
Maybe you can see it as a blessing, perhaps. And, it might be hard to see it now because of the amount of suffering, that some of us go through. And so just know that what you do each day to help you to heal, on the other side, I mean, you can't even imagine what it's going to be like. So I really wish that for everyone. I really wish that they find their healing journey, that they're on their path, and that they do find that other side.
Yeah.
It'd be so beautiful and so amazing, and
it's
full of so much love.
Yeah, it's so worth it. It's totally worth it. Well, thank you so much. I just love hearing your story and all your wisdom that you have to share. It was like such an incredible, I feel like we could talk like this all day.
I know, me too.
So where can viewers find more of you?
So at eatpraylupus, my Instagram, that's pretty much the main platform that I am on. I don't do Facebook much. I find that Instagram has a very positive energy, positive community, especially in the chronic illness community and the medical medium community. It's just so everyone's just so loving and positive.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. And I'm just so grateful that I was able to meet you through that community.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would never have met if
one day we're going to meet in person.
Absolutely. I would love that. Yeah. And so, and then I do consultations. So if anyone is interested, they can also reach me through email. And that's eatpraylupus@gmail.com.
Very cool. And I'll drop all those links and email address in the comments below so you can easily find them. Mm-hmm. So thank you so much, Ginny, for sharing your story. This was awesome. And I can't wait to see where you are in a few more months or a few more years. Yes,
absolutely. Thank you, Rachel.
You're welcome.
So grateful.